Fiction is better than reality. Welcome to the podcast where we talk specific elements that make our favorite fictional worlds so amazing. This week we are talking about Avatar. Welcome, everybody, to Better Than Reality, the podcast about our favorite fictional worlds. And today, we are talking about Avatar, the Last Airbender. I didn't get that in the intro, the Last Airbender, because I ran out of time, but I think people know what I'm talking about.
We're not talking about the blue people.
No, not the blue people. The guy with the arrow on his head.
Yep.
The monk. And in with me in studio, if you'll call this a studio, is Tyler.
That's
once
me.
again, welcome back.
I'm on a streak.
You are on a streak.
I'm very excited.
You love it. I'm very excited too. This is just going to be our general discussion day because it's the first episode that we are doing on Avatar. We are introducing this fictional world. So today is just general discussion day on the world.
Where do you want to start off?
Well, we're going to find out. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I am very embarrassed to say that during editing, it dawned on me that the Avatar, the entire center of the show was somehow never mentioned during this discussion. It was honestly in my notes. So I really don't know how. My only explanation for this is that it's because the fictional world is so amazing and it has so many unique and cool things to talk about that we really just got so excited about all those other elements and just completely negated to mention the Avatar. So I am adding this into the episode because I would like to emphasize how much I adore Avatar Aang as a character and that this fictional world would not exist without the Avatar. Let's be honest, really it is the journey of the Avatar that we are following in this world. And I also love the whole concept of the Avatar being the only person to control all four elements and having this duty of bringing balance between all the nations. It's just something that's really quite unique to this world. So sorry once again, and before I go, I want to mention that I will be doing future episodes on the Avatar and many of the other avatars that we see in the series. So you have that to look forward to, and also please continue listening to the rest of our discussion because there really is some cool things that we discuss. All right, thanks guys, and sorry again. Alrighty, so to start off our discussion, I think it is good to kind of do a brief summary of this world because not too many people are going to be as familiar, and I think it's worth doing kind of a brief description.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you got the four nations and everybody can bend a different element. So that is what this world is. And the nations are kind of divided and they all live in their own, not like islands, but like, yeah, pretty much like divided parts of the world.
Do you want to list the nations?
Yes, that's probably a good idea. Go ahead. You take it away.
There's the Air Nation, the Fire Nation, the Water Nation, and the Earth Nation.
Yes. And different people have different bending abilities. So obviously fire is fire, water is water, air is air,
and so on and so forth.
Is earth. Very self-explanatory. But yeah, so and I would also describe this world as a very like historic and spiritual world.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Eastern culture style world.
Yes, and deeply rooted in those spiritual elements, which is one of the things that appeals so much to me about it. Like I really enjoy that aspect. So that kind of leads into that first point that I want to talk about was kind of what appeals to you most about this world and why do you like it? And for me, one of those things was the ties to the spiritual and kind of getting into those deep connections to the world. Like they really respect like nature and everything, especially the airbenders because they're monks and they're vegans, right? Like they don't eat meat. They just, yeah. And I really like that and like the old historical kind of feel that each nation has. And each nation is a little different too. Like each nation has their own kind of feel.
Yep.
And their own beliefs. And I really, really like that as well. I thought that was very cool because it kind of helps distinguish between each one.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about it is how fleshed out it is. Like the creators of the show obviously put a lot of work into developing each nation and even the villages and other settlements that they come across throughout the show all feel like places that you could actually visit.
Yeah.
That have a lot of things that we don't even know that haven't been shown in the show.
Yep.
the storied history of like all the different avatars. Because I mean, in the show they tell you he's been like Avatar for, was it 10,000 years? So
yeah, for
like,
a long
there
time.
are generations of avatars that we've never
Yeah.
met, never seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I love that too. It's very, very, very cool. And definitely one of the things that appeal to me the most about this is that it has very strong character development. And I really like that about the show because I feel like that's more rare these days.
Yeah.
You know, like where there isn't like such a strong progression of a character from start to beginning.
Especially a kid show. Like this is technically, I think it's like C8.
That's the
thing.
So
for like 8-year-olds.
Yeah, like this is meant for kids, but yet there's such strong themes and great character development and such great story and emotions kind of tied into this.
That everybody can relate to.
That everybody can relate to.
I feel like most of Avatar's main fan base are people our age, 20-ish.
I think so. And honestly, sometimes I watch the show and I'm like, this was for kids?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like... Because I recall like this was coming out when I was younger and I recall watching a few episodes and I was so confused. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. It's cool because I like the whole idea of like bending elements. Like that's super cool, which is another thing that really appeals to me is the bending of elements.
Yeah.
That's obviously like kind of the main thing that the show has going for it. It's just a really cool concept. And then you kind of always are like, oh, like what element would I bend? And like, you know, it's just such a cool thought, cool concept.
Yeah.
Just a different way of like fighting, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, great animation. That's another thing I want to say. Specifically the Zuko Azula fight. I really like the animation of that.
Probably the highlight of the show.
Yeah, I think so. And how you had the two different color fires kind of mixing together. And it was just a emotional scene, but like a very well animated and
built
well
up
thought
to
out.
Like everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was the fight called? Like the Agni Kai?
The Agni Kai, yes. Between Zuko and Azula.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, also the final fight between Aang and
Ozai
was excellent too. Like I was on edge the whole fight. I'm like, wow, that's so cool.
You know, it's kind of a coincidence because I don't know if you knew this, but the person who voiced Ozai was Mark Hamill.
Wait, actually?
Yeah.
How did I not pick up on that?
Yeah.
No way. See, I feel like I knew that, but like I also didn't.
I mean,
That's
that
so
shows you how
weird.
good of a voice actor Mark Hamill is.
He's so good. He really is. But yeah, I mean, anything else that really like sticks out to you, like that you like, that really makes the show so appealing.
One of my favorite parts of the show was Suki and Sokka with the Kyoshi Warriors.
Yeah, the Kyoshi Warriors.
Like how that kind of like completely turned around Sokka's character and turned him into like a more legitimate leader and like somebody who knows how to fight. He's not just the guy with the boomerang who does nothing. And like the love story between Suki and Sokka, I thought was like one of the best parts of the show.
It was a good love story. I really liked that.
Yeah.
Zuko to me was another highlight. He was one of my favorite characters growing up. He was my first crush, Zuko. I really, really liked him. I think he had the most development as a character. And I really like how he went from this angry little kid who was banished and just so full of hate and anger and really morphed into this young man who, you know, realized that what his father is doing is wrong, like terribly wrong. And I'm going to stand up for myself and I'm going to side with the Avatar in the end. And the only thing I didn't like is I don't like who he ended up with. What was her name?
Was it?
She was so annoying.
Was it one of like the three or one of the girls that was accompanying Azula?
Yes, and I can't remember her name. I don't know why.
I think there was like
the boring one.
Was it May or was it?
Yes, it was May, wasn't it? That sounds right.
Sure.
May sounds right for some reason.
There was like May, and then I forget.
I'm sure people will let us know in the comments.
I think the other girl's name started with a B. I don't remember what it was.
I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of her, and I personally think that Katara and Zuko should have ended up together. That's personally how I would have liked it. But yeah, Tyler's just like, no thoughts.
I don't know. I mean, who would you have rather Aang have ended up with?
I don't know, some random person. I don't know.
Just some random person he had no connection with.
Like, I don't know. I mean, actually, this is going to bleed into like my personal likes and dislikes. That was probably, if I could say one thing I disliked about the series, I didn't like the Aang-Katara relationship. I thought they had more of a friendship. I didn't like that it developed into this love.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was kind of forced onto Katara. Did you ever get that feeling? Like, I feel like
in a way, like Aang just like never let go of it. And just kept,
like he just kept going, and then Katara was like, "Oh, okay, you did save the world, sure." I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it. I thought it was more of like, I got more of a friendship feel from it, and I don't like that it turned romantic.
Yeah.
It felt wrong to me. That's my personal opinion. But other than that, I mean, I don't personally have any other dislikes about the series. Like I think it's pretty perfect personally.
I mean, my only like dislikes about it is that sometimes but it's made for a kid show. Sometimes it feels too much of like a kid show where like there's goofy.
Yeah, but I almost like the goofy elements because it's different. You know?
No,
what I mean?
know. I'm saying like that's just me going like, oh man, like I feel like this entire episode has just been like jokes or something.
I get that,
like,
but then at the same time, there was moments where you're just like, this is a kid's show. Why isn't that in there? Like the Suki Sokka tent. I'm like, this is clearly obvious.
Or like, you know, people getting like straight up murdered or almost like concentration camped.
Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, this is I think a little much, but I mean, times were different too.
What about like, who's your favorite character in the show?
My favorite character. That's a good question. Well, actually, you already know the answer to that. It's Zuko.
Just straight up Zuko?
Zuko, yeah, without a doubt. I liked his character development, and I also loved Zuko and Iroh's relationship. I really, really liked that. I thought it was really, really sweet and very tender. And, you know, he would get angry at him, but it's kind of like a relationship you have with your own parent or guardian.
Yeah.
Like where you disagree, but deep down inside, you love each other and you would do anything for each other. And Iroh was just such a good character.
Yeah.
And made me cry, that scene where he was singing about his son.
Yeah.
So sad. But yeah, that's just another strength about the show. Like the characters are just so good.
Yeah.
So good, so deep. And like everybody kind of gets their moment to shine too.
They all filled some sort of role in the story. Yeah.
But Toph is a very close second. I really like Toph.
Toph is like my number one.
That's a good number one. Yeah. That's good.
I just like between her using the earthbending to see, I think is a really cool like character trait. Yes. And then like also being the first metal bender was pretty awesome, especially that whole like part where she discovered that she could do it and used it to like help escape and
especially because she's so young.
Yeah.
Too.
She's like younger than Aang, isn't she?
Yep. And I just loved her personality. Like she was just so like stubborn and this is who I am and no one's going to tell me otherwise and everyone else is wrong.
Just calls the Avatar Twinkle Toes nonstop.
I love that, man. So good. That was a good question. And that wasn't my wrap-up question because I kind of like looked down and I'm like, wait, I think that's my wrap-up question, but it's not. So we're good. Anything else you'd like to add before we move on to wrap-up question?
Well, was there any other topic you want to touch on in this episode?
No, I don't think so. Like I kind of went through like these first episodes, like when we introduce a world, they're just kind of meant to, what are your highlights of the world? What do you like so much about it? Which we've kind of gone over. Okay.
What's your favorite hybrid animal?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Favorite hybrid animal? Yes, because I do like that too. I like how they mix the animals. Oh, that's very hard. What's yours?
Oh man,
I don't know.
I did really like the. I mean, it's hard to beat the sky bisons. Like, I mean, they're not really a hybrid animal, but.
Well, kind of, because they're like a platypus that can fly. So
and they got like 6 legs and.
Yeah, so I mean, I would call that a hybrid animal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say dragon, but that's not a hybrid animal. But it's a cool animal.
It's definitely a cool animal.
But I also, for some reason, that animal, when Toph was teaching Aang how to earthbend and then Sokka fell in the hole, that animal that came up to him, there was like a little baby, like it was like a moose / saber tooth or something. It had the fangs.
Oh, I think I
don't know. It was so cute. And then like the mother came in and it was like this giant moose with fangs. And I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Or I do also really like Naga, the like polar bear dog.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too. Naga was good. I don't know. There's so many, so it's so hard to choose. And I like so many of them.
I also think it's really funny how all the animals are like, you know, polar bear dog. It's not like some new word. It's just 2 animals mixed together.
Yeah, just keep it easy. It is a kid's show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a good time to move into our wrap-up question, so stay tuned. That was the wrong sound, so I'm just going to fade out and we're just going to go into the wrap-up question. Oops, that's my bad. So our wrap-up question for today, and be sure to comment and let us know what your answer is. But what is your favorite Avatar the Last Airbender moment, or like you said, arc?
Yeah.
Either or.
I mean, it kind of links into my favorite, like, Suki and Sokka thing. Like, I thought that whole Crescent Moon Island part was really cool with the giant, like, koi fish in the bay, I guess, technically.
Yeah, we could call it a bay.
I'm not sure if that's technically what it is, but yeah, like, and him, like, learning how to, change his mentality about, like, women aren't warriors or whatever, and then gets his butt kicked by.
I loved that. I loved that so much. Yeah. To me, my favorite moment, the one that stands out, is when Zuko confronts his father and they have that little battle where he tells him, screw you, I'm going to join the Avatar because what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
So that was when he kind of had gone back to the Fire Nation and was considering staying with the Fire Nation, because he was accepted for once. So he's like, okay, like, I'm accepted. But then as he's in that council meeting, he realizes what his father's ultimate plan is. And he's like, no, like, this is wrong. This is bad. And then that's when he decides that he's going to leave. But he confronts his father first. And I love that he did that.
Well,
and
even
I think
there's, like, little sprinklings of that throughout the story. Like, when he is, like, the blue masked demon. Like, that was kind of almost a
it was foreshadowing.
Yeah, like, of him, like, going against the Fire Nation and doing it.
Yeah. And even when he saved Aang that one time too, like, that was also him. It showed his true character, like, who he actually is. He was just fighting it the whole time.
Yeah.
And then I think that moment when he confronted his father, that was him accepting it. And that was his ultimate change as a character. And I thought that was a really cool moment. And that was when he first redirected lightning too, because he redirected his father's lightning attack.
Yep.
Which is what Iroh taught him, how to redirect lightning. So I thought that was just a very cool moment. So that's my favorite. I mean, there's so many, but that one just stands out just because I'm a big fan of Zuko. He's my favorite character. So, like
I said, it's a beautiful world that was made, and like
there's a full story and everyone gets their moment. And it was just such a unique world. Like, it was different, like different than what anyone had ever seen.
Especially made by a Western animation company. Like,
yes.
Completely set in Eastern culture and inspired by it and everything. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, this is one of those, it was a perfect world.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not too much to say about that. So make sure you tune in. We're going to do another episode after this one on kind of the evolution of bending, because bending is kind of the main thing that this show kind of has going. Like, that's the main thing. So we're going to do an episode on that. So if you like, be sure to follow, comment, subscribe, and share with others, and tune in next week for our episode on bending. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you like what you hear, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, be sure to check out our videos on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you check out that audio. Thank you so much for your support. We'll see you next time.